Hi everyone, you're watching the Virtual Amicus and I am Jay Lodha. Well, today's topic for discussion would be on insight into the role and responsibilities of an advocate on record at the Supreme Court of India and the ensuing opportunities. Well, that's a very important topic, and this is one topic where I'm always flooded with queries. Now, recently, Honorable Chief Justice of India, Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, sir, recently stated that advocates on record are important in every matter that comes before the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and sometimes even more important than the senior counsels themselves. The AOR institution is crucial for the sustenance of the court, as it serves as the first interface with clients. So this role of AOR has been evolving over the years, and this concept envisages an advocate having a special ability to assist the Honorable Supreme Court of India in almost all the matters, because it came into force by virtue of certain rules. That's why it was framed in a separate category that is created to practice before, specifically before the Honorable Supreme Court of India, which we all are aware is the final court of adjudication of an appeal for all civil and criminal cases, and also has original jurisdiction for protection of fundamental rights and interstate disputes. So joining us today on the virtual amicus is somebody who needs absolutely no introduction. She's a distinguished, highly respected advocate on record herself, in conversation with Ms. Anshula Grover. And just to give you a brief introduction about her amicus for today's session, she's an advocate on record in the Supreme Court of India. She graduated from Government Law College, Mumbai in the year 2012, began a career in a litigation firm with the partners in Mumbai, and then moved to Delhi. After clearing her A.O.R exam in 2019, she went independent and has been successfully running her own practice since then. She specializes in civil, commercial litigation and arbitration, having a total experience of 12 years. So thank you, ma'am, for readily saying yes for a session. And I know it's a
Hi, Jay.
Saturday morning, and we're spoiling your Saturday morning plans. Anything
No,
that
no, Jay.
about say about our channel before we start with our Q&A segment?
Yes. First of all, Jay, thank you. Thanks a lot for inviting me on this channel. And I want to congratulate you for all the work you've been doing. I believe you have launched over 100 episodes on very relevant topics, which are relevant for the young lawyers and aspiring law students as well. So, and it gives an insight into, how the system works and on various subjects and opportunities which are relevant for the young lawyers. So, first of all, on that note, we can just start the session, and maybe, we can contribute to your channel and give some good content which may help some of the students.
Well, grateful, ma'am, for all the kind words. Let's quickly start
Yeah,
with the Q&A segment. So
yeah.
question one coming your way. Now, how did this concept of an advocate on record came into force, and how was it introduced?
So basically, this advocate on record system came into place by rules which were framed by the Supreme Court in 1966. So they carved out a separate under Article 145 of the Constitution, and they carved out a separate category of advocates which will be solely responsible for handling work in the Supreme Court. So as we all know that Supreme Court is like the highest court of record, and obviously the matters are listed are of very important stake because there is no other appeal and no remedy left with the clients. So to assist them in a more efficient way, the Supreme Court decided to categorize them as, a separate category of lawyers who will just cater to the needs of Supreme Court and who will learn the rules and procedures and be the direct first link between the client and the court. So there is no confusion in any regard. That's what. And since it's an appellate court where, parties from all over India approach for their appeals and all, so it is not possible for those advocates who are practicing in different courts to understand the procedure. And, so this system ensures that the pleadings are presented in a particular format so that it's easier for the judges. And communication between the registry and the advocate is smooth. So that was the main idea behind it.
Wonderful. Now, going ahead with our next question. What is the eligibility criteria to become an advocate on record at the Supreme Court of India?
Yes, so this is like one of the most asked questions. So once a person enrolls with the Bar Council of India after clearing their bar exam, so after 4 years of that, you become eligible to undergo the training. So the training has to be for a year with an advocate on record who is 10 years experience as an advocate on record. Then you need to get a certificate from that advocate. And once you have the certificate, and so totally 5 years are there basically, then you have to sit for the A.O.R exam, which is a slightly difficult exam, and it involves a lot of reading on judgments and getting hands-on knowledge of the Supreme Court. So once you're clear with the exam, then you can sit basically become an AOR. And there are certain logistical criteria, like having an office within 16 kilometers radius of Delhi to become an AOR, to have a dedicated clerk to become the registered clerk. So that is the whole system in place.
Now, going ahead with the next question, is it necessary to
Yeah.
practice Delhi if you have to become an advocate on record?
So yeah, since the rule requires that your office has to be within 16-kilometer radius, so on paper you definitely need to be in Delhi to be an AOR, and also because requires a lot of communication with the registry people, and being in the Supreme Court, because the judges are also uh, they hold the AORs responsible, so you have to be in Delhi to practice, have an AOR practice. Although with virtual hearings and things being filed online now with the system of e-filing, it is a little the system has been made a little more flexible, so to say, but still you need to be in Delhi. You can't like work in Mumbai and be an AOR, so that will be a little difficult.
Very well.
Yeah.
Now, what are the main roles and responsibilities of an advocate on record, and how is it different from other advocates? And what kind of
Yeah.
matters does an AOR handle?
Yeah. So basically, how you're different from other advocates is that, like, once you clear your bar exam, you are entitled to practice in any court, file a wakalatnama in any court in India, depending on the respective rules of the respective bar councils of those states. But to practice in Supreme Court, like file a wakalatnama in Supreme Court, specifically, you need to have that 5-year experience. You need to clear that exam. So that is the main difference. So anybody who's not an AOR cannot file any case in his name. He will have to approach an AOR, and get the help of an AOR. Even lawyer will have to get the help of an AOR to file any pleading on behalf of his client. Secondly, the AOR, since the every filing is in the name of an AOR, the AOR is directly responsible for what is written. So even if like any lawyer is handling the main matter, the client is of somebody else, but because my name would be there on the case, so I have to be very cautious with what is written in the pleadings and all. And in that context, like there is one practice which is deprecated by the Supreme Court on and off, is the practice of name lending, where the AORs simply sign on behalf of somebody else and take a very meager fee of like 2,000, 5,000. They don't get involved in the matters at all. And Supreme Court has been repeatedly calling upon the AORs to pull up their socks and not indulge in these kind of practices. So there have been two cases also. Like there was a 2013 case where an AOR had filed Rameshwar Prasad Goel case, where an AOR had filed around more than 1,000 cases in a year, and he never appeared in the court. So so there was one case which came to the notice of the court where he was called upon, and then all the backlog came in picture that he's not been appearing, and court wanted to issue contempt, but he tendered an unconditional apology, and so the court had highlighted the importance. Second thing is that because Supreme Court, being the highest court of record, the value of time, the stakes are very high, okay, and the lot of matters are listed before judges. They read the matters and they come to the court, so there is no time for errors. So being an AOR will help you filter the pleadings and you file the petitions in the proper format. And since you're practicing exclusively in that forum, you are aware of how the registry works. For example, like in a Supreme Court, in an SLP, you don't write facts in the body of the special leave petition. So you file a separate list of dates, and it has to be a very precise kind of document giving exactly the chronology of events, like very relevant dates. And the judges read that and come. So your case is basically culled out from that list of dates. So anybody who's not practicing in Supreme Court will not understand the relevance of a LOD. And in that context, also there was another judgment of the Supreme Court where somebody had just copy pasted the list of dates from the High Court petition, and basically it had destroyed the whole case because he had copied it from the other side's petition, not realizing that he needs to plead his own case in the LOD. So that way, the role of an AOR is important because all these kind of things can be only known by a person who's regularly practicing there. And you need to be cautious. Like in my own experience also, I was also approached by somebody, some lawyer, to say that there was a very important petition which needed to be filed in respect of writ petition which had to be filed for construction of ladies' washrooms in some district court in some southern state. So I thought it's for a good cause, so let me do it. But once I started reading the petition which was drafted by them, it had a lot of scandalous remarks against the district judge, saying that he makes remarks. So I decided that I can't go ahead with this petition. And one day I was in court and I noticed that that petition was filed through somebody else and it was listed. And the court got very furious at the advocate on record that why such remarks are made. So this kind of thing, you need to be very cautious of how you're dealing with the matter, and you need to take personal responsibility. Like you can't just go by some whatever somebody else has given you and just simply file that. So that's the main idea whole behind it. And obviously, you're responsible for all the deposits and which are made on behalf of the client for renewal of FDs. So all those things are there.
Very well. Now, going ahead with our next question, what are the advantages or benefits of becoming an AOR, and what are the opportunities that are available to advocate on records?
Yes. So very important question and very relevant also again. So the main advantage of being an AOR is because it helps you create a niche practice in the Supreme Court. And obviously, it sets you, in a way, a class apart because it is the highest court of land and people from all over the world will have matters. So you get exposure in that sense. And secondly, in Supreme Court, there are multiple jurisdictions. Like, there is civil appellate jurisdiction, there is SLP jurisdiction, then there is original jurisdiction. And Supreme Court is day in, day out handling a lot of constitutional matters. So if you are an AOR and you are practicing in the Supreme Court, as a young lawyer, you get an opportunity to be involved in very important cases, which, are helpful in shaping your legal career also. Because I ended up fortunately being involved in certain matters, like the matter where personal guarantor provisions were challenged under the IBC before the Supreme Court recently. And similarly, there was a challenge to the provisions of the RERA Act also, constitutional validity of RERA Act. So being an AOR, it helped me to get involved, get an opportunity to be a part of those important matters and where the, interpretation of important provisions are involved. And it lays down the law basically. Second thing, which is advantages, is that it gives you economic benefits definitely, because it gives you more work in that sense. And if you have to set up an independent practice, and if you're in Delhi, then definitely it's a good thing to get clear the exam and become an AOR, because it will take care of your survival needs also in that way. And otherwise, it also gives you exposure to a variety of matters. Like because it's a Supreme Court and all kind of matters are filed. Like I've been dealing with environmental matters which arise out of statutory appeals from the NGT, then insolvency matters, then matrimonial matters also. Then transfer petitions are exclusively within the domain of Supreme Court. And now under Article 142 also, the grant of divorce, that law has also been laid down. So it gives you an opportunity into a wide variety of subjects also, and in good high stake matters. So it's very important, as it shapes up your legal career in that sense. Yes.
Now, you've spoken about the advantages, benefits of becoming an AOR. Are there any specific challenges that are faced by an AOR? And as far as experiences go by, how have your experiences been as an advocate on record?
Yeah, so in my experience, I can tell you the challenges which I faced. So the challenges are that because you're approached many times by lawyers and not directly by clients, so there is always that gap which is there. So you are not in a position to take direct instructions from the client, and you have to rely mostly on the advocates. But the filings are going in your name, so therefore it is a little tricky kind of a situation, because sometimes the lawyers insist that you file something written in this particular way, but you may not be comfortable, or you have not even directly interacted with the client, so to take direct instructions. So that is one major challenge which is there. Secondly, I wouldn't exactly call it a challenge, but it involves a lot of procedural work. So as you go into the profession, and that some of the work has to be handled by you, because your email ID is registered and your message services is only coming to you from the registry. So you're the point of contact for the matter from the registry side. So you have to be very hands-on with your emails and all, because you may think that this is not, submission of an appearance is not very important, as you have other things to deal with, but you need to do those things also. So procedure is something which you can't disassociate yourself from that. So you need to take care of the procedure also, which is like a part of the job. So that's something like you have to take care of.
And lastly, what would be your piece of advice to all the young lawyers who aspire to be an AOR like you are?
So I would advise that it definitely opens a lot of doors. And in my personal journey, I felt that the graph has gone upwards only. So definitely it is an advantage and a risk which is worth taking. And it will never do you any harm. So why not, try for that? If anything, it will just open more doors for you. And I think you're practicing in the best top court of the country. So it definitely, I don't need to say anything more on that, because you're amongst the best lawyers and the judges are there. So to have, an opportunity of presenting your case before that level. So that obviously is a big advantage in my eyes. Yeah.
Very well, and thank you so much. You took out time and you did this extraordinary session for us. It's indeed a very, very important topic, and we're glad that we were able to persuade
Yeah.
you to come and do a session on our channel on the Advocate on
No,
Record
no, no.
rules and the responsibilities that are ensued. To all the viewers who are watching, our email is mentioned on the channel. In case if we still have any queries, feel free to write to us. We'll be more than happy to send them across to mail the same to our Amicus for today's session. Anything that you wish to say as parting words before we wrap this segment?
Just that it was a like good session for me also, and we had a good interaction, and I hope that it will clarify the doubts of many people. And I would be happy to help in future also if any doubts arise. And thank you for having me on the session and giving me this chance also.
Well, I had a great time interacting with you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's goodbye for now. Next episode is on its way.
Yeah. Thank you.